Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by the one, the only Nathan Solomon, the managing editor of the Podium Finish. How's it going, buddy?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing well. Off season treating you well. I know you've been pretty busy with the college basketball stuff you've been doing up at college, but overall, how are things going?
Yeah, things have been going good. I've been calling a lot of games so far. That's pretty much going to be pretty nonstop until well into the beginning of the NASCAR season. So pretty much go, go, go. Lots of prep going on. Mainly the Bonaventure women's games, but we'll have a men's game or two in there a little later in the year. So enjoying it all and looking forward to the upcoming weeks.
Nothing like Bonnie Ball, that's for sure. So a lot of things have happened this off season and stuff, but we'll kind of recap a lot of the things that have transpired. But just in terms of the off season, kind of give your what are some of the biggest storylines heading with since the season, the checkered flag dropped on Phoenix. But what are some of the things that you've kind of took away from this bit of off season news?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's a lot of rumors going around for sure, right? And I mean, a lot of those rumors are pretty public. But these first couple weeks of the offseason honestly has been pretty quiet. We've not really seen a whole lot of movement. I think we've gotten, I'd say, a little bit more clarity right now in the Xfinity picture. Nothing's really happened so far in the Cup picture. Nothing's really happened that much on the Truck Series picture. So we've really only had a couple of like notable driver announcements on the Xfinity side, and we'll unpack that a little bit more. But I guess that's my big takeaway right now is there's still a lot of unknowns right now in trucks and Xfinity. And again, there's rumors. I think a lot of people have good ideas of where some of these drivers are going, but not everything's official and set in stone yet. Um, but yeah, all things considered, though, it has been a pretty quiet start to the winter.
Yeah. And from a lot of info that I'm gathering and stuff, it sounds like a lot of these rides are already set for next year. So obviously a lot of them haven't been announced yet, but mainly a lot of teams have, their plans are already set for the year. So, my prediction is by the time we get to Christmas break, then we get to Christmas, we're gonna you're gonna really know what the picture is gonna look like in all three series, and even on the ARCA side possibly too. But we'll obviously get to that in a minute. But yeah, let's actually kind of pivot from NASCAR. Obviously, the big announcement yesterday was with the Cars Tour, they announced their schedule, 19 races. And of course, the ZMAX brand that with Speedway Motorsports, of course, they're going to be the new title sponsor of that series. Obviously with the new ownership group coming in and all that, and it's going to be pretty exciting. I know there was a lot of rumors floating around about what that announcement was going to be, but I know the Cars Tour schedule is going to mainly stay the same with 19 races. They'll be at Wilkesboro, but this is also a pretty big announcement now that with the ZMAX brand kind of taking over as title sponsor.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the car store, I love the direction that it's going in right now. You mentioned the new ownership group, and you have some notable people over there now, like a Kip Childress, excuse me. He came over from NASCAR and is taking, has a big role with the operations of that series. So they have a lot of people over there that know what they're doing. And you mentioned the ZMAX, now the title sponsor over there. I think that's really good for them. I love how they're going to end the season at North Wilkesboro, and they have two races there, so it's going to make those races really special. I would have loved to see them have a few conjunction events with the NASCAR Touring Series, but I think that's something that could happen down the road, though. But all 19 races on Flow, I think that's good. A good permanent home for them. I really enjoyed watching the Cars Tour when I've been able to turn them on. So looking forward to watching them a lot there next year.
And of course, also, ASA is also another series that we haven't really heard from yet, with that. So you never know what could possibly come down the pipeline there. But, obviously their schedules haven't been announced yet for, for those series, some Southern Super Series, the Midwest Tour and all that. We'll obviously get to those when we have. All right. I know you meant there's been a lot of Xfinity announcements, which is probably going to be the majority of what, this episode's really going to kind of be about. Man, if I know you're a big fan of that Xfinity series, and it's definitely going to be really, really good again, because this is a lot of drivers and a lot of new places, but what has caught your eye so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that's caught my eye the most, I mean, I think maybe the biggest announcement so far, Josh Williams going over to Kaulig Racing, going to step in. I believe it's the 11 car over there. Yeah,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
11 car over at Kaulig. And, um, just super happy for him. He's had to earn everything that, every opportunity that he's had in the Xfinity Series. When he came in a couple of years ago or a handful of years ago, he was never funded. And a handful of seasons ago, he got Alloy to hop on and has been very loyal to them, and they've been very loyal to him, and they've gotten this great relationship where now he's able to take that next step from a more underfunded car to one of the best cars right now in the garage. So super happy for him. I think he can be incredibly successful here, or excuse me, at Colleague he can be super successful. We've seen him maximize days, maximize his equipment over there with DGM. So I think now that he's in a car that has race winning, capabilities, I think he can go out and run extremely well and win some races and make the playoffs and who knows, maybe have a chance at the championship four. We'll see. But I think he's a playoff driver next year for certain. I'm just very much looking forward to seeing what he can do in really good stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so going into this also some of the other moves like Sammy Smith to Junior Motorsports, Jesse Love to RCR, some of the big moves. Like what talk about those two things and really kind of seeing where that is, and also Haley Deegan going to AM. And I know AM's kind of elevating their program. Both Stuart Haas cars will be back too. It's going to be an ever changing. The Xfinity lineup is just getting better.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with Sammy Smith, I mean, now that's the second year in a row that a JGR driver has gone over to JRM, or left JRM, or geez, excuse me, left JGR to go over to JRM. And, Sammy Smith had a really interesting year, got the win early on at Phoenix, and I'd say he was pretty much out to lunch the rest of the regular season. Kind of found something a little bit in the playoffs, and nearly made it to Phoenix for the championship race, but ultimately fell short there. I'm looking for a lot more consistency out of him, as well as somebody like Brandon Jones, who's now going into his second year at Junior Motorsports. He really kind of needs to start figuring stuff out because he had a really disappointing year. I kind of no sugarcoating that. A guy that had a really a solid year at JGR in 2022, and I think expectations were pretty high from him in 2023, and he did not live up to them. And then you mentioned Jesse Love going over to RCR. Obviously, we've known that bit of news now for a little while, and I think he's going to be really successful over there. I think it might take a little bit of time, though. He's still really pretty inexperienced. I know he's been at NASCAR for a little while, but he's only has, what, 4 truck starts. So not exactly sure how quickly he's going to adapt to the Xfinity car. That might take a little bit of time. It might be a little bit of a learning curve, but we'll just see. I think he's incredibly talented, so it wouldn't surprise me if he goes out and wins, 3 races into the year, but it also wouldn't surprise me if it might take the better part of the year for him to get adjusted to the Xfinity car, because some of these different drivers, they just have longer, it just varies when making that jump to Xfinity. I mean, you saw Ty Gibbs win his first career Xfinity race, and then you see some guys, like a Sheldon Creed's been there for 2 years and hasn't won a race yet. It just takes some people so much longer than other people to get adjusted to the car, and we just won't know until we see him in there for the first time. But I think he has the potential to be extremely successful with them. And then the last driver you mentioned is Haley Deegan. I don't really know what the expectations are there. I'd say 3 reasonably disappointing seasons in the truck series. She made one Xfinity start in 2022 and honestly ran pretty well. So maybe the Xfinity cars will suit her better just because the trucks and the Xfinity cars are so different. But it's kind of her make or break year. I mean, if she does not do well in the Xfinity series, then I'm not sure how many more opportunities she's going to get at the NASCAR level. But at the same time, though, maybe she could be a lot more successful in the Xfinity cars and be a lot more consistent. So we'll just have to see here. But it's a big year for Haley Deegan, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, so kind of going let's go on the truck side a little bit. Where are we at there?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I feel like there's still a lot of unknowns on the truck side. I feel like there's a lot of a lot of really good trucks right now that are still open. We don't really know. Like we're kind of getting a better idea. If I don't remember if the announcement's like official or not, but it's implied that all the KBM drivers are essentially moving over to Spire, and
Yeah, it's
um,
official.
it is okay. I had forgotten if that had been
Yeah.
what exactly that was. I mean, we know we're gonna have Corey Heim back. We know the Gray brothers are gonna be back. You
Yep.
know, we know Christian Eckes is gonna be back. Stuart
Yep.
Friesen's gonna be back.
Yep.
Something I'm keeping an eye on though for sure um, is a number 42 truck. You know, obviously Carson Hocevar moving to Cup. You got Matt Mills in there full time. Definitely his best opportunity. We saw him run 2 races for KBM last year, or I guess in 2023. Ran pretty well. I want to say ran. What did he run, fifth at Richmond or something?
Yep.
Had a good run there. So I think now that he'll be in one of the better trucks in the garage again, we'll see what he can do full time. So I think a great opportunity for him. You know, you got Daniel Dye going over to BMR. I think that's a step up for him. Obviously, leaving GMS as that organization's shutting down, but still some unknowns over there. I think we know. We basically know Thor Sports lineup at this point. So not as many changes in the truck side compared to Xfinity. A lot of guys coming back, but you know, there's still some trucks open. I'd say of note that the 25, the Rackley War truck's open. That's probably the best truck that's open. I mean, I'm just trying to look through
Don't
this
forget the front
JSP
row
chart right
trucks.
now. In the front row, yeah, we don't exactly know what's going on there. So right now it's just the two big equations is exactly what front row is going to do, and then who's going to drive that 25 truck for Rackley War.
Yep. Yeah, of course. We'll obviously still some more announcements to come, so we'll see about that. On the Cup side of things, not much stuff is going on. Of course, you know, a lot of there's still some pieces still left to go, but mostly the Cup field's pretty much set.
Yeah, I mean we're pretty much waiting on a couple of inevitable announcements over on the truck side. I mean at this point it's expected that most likely Noah Gragson will be in the 10 car again. That's not official, not set in stone, but at this point, all signs, all indications are that it will be him in that 10 car as Eric Almirola is stepping back from full time racing. We don't really know about the 16 car. There's been talks that could be Ty Dillon. There's been talks that it could be AJ Allmendinger returning. I think if there's a ride that we really don't have clarity about at this point, it's that car. It's a 16 car, and then I guess the one of the Rick Ware cars. We still don't really know exactly what their intentions are. We know Justin Haley's going to run full time. I don't even know if we know the number yet at this point. But other than that, though, not in terms of full time stuff. That's it. You know, I know that RFK is going to make an announcement on Wednesday, potentially regarding a third entry for the Daytona 500. But again, that's not expected to be a full time car. You know, I'm sure it's expected to be a part time car because there's really not going to be any charter movement or any additional charter movement outside of LiftFast selling their charter over to Spire. But again, pretty quiet on the Cup side, but we have at least an idea on who's going to be in the 10 and at least a couple ideas of who could be in the 16.
Yeah. So I mean, outside on the Cup side, I know you mentioned there's still a lot of things that still have to be solved. What are some of those things that we're going to be looking out for?
A lot of it's Xfinity at this point. I mean, we have an idea on who two of the drivers probably going to be over at JGR. Again, all signs indicating that Sheldon Creed and Chandler Smith are going over to JGR, but again, that's not official. Other than that, though, not a lot of clarity on what JGR, what they could be doing with a third car, what they could be doing with a potential fourth car. Because remember, for the long time, they were a four-car Xfinity organization. Could that fourth car return? I think it's possible if the drivers and the funding are there. You got two open colleague cars right now. Not exactly sure which directions they're going to go. You know, I know there's rumors maybe there could be some cup organizations working on Xfinity rides. Again, we don't know exactly. I think Penske, they still have their Xfinity points from a couple of years ago, so I always think that they're an organization to watch. You never know, they could potentially bring something back. But I think a lot of it right now falls on JGR, falls on Colleague. You know, we know Sam Hunt Racing's wide open now. They announced on Monday that Kaz Grala would not be returning, so there's two pretty decent cars that are open. I think the expectation would be that Connor Mosack would at least be in one of the cars for at least some of the season, like he was in 2023. But again, not positive yet. So there's definitely some competitive cars open. Another AM Racing car, at least one or two RSS cars are open. So there's definitely some decent cars in the field right now. A couple of very good cars in the field, but there's also some other decent cars that are kind of in that top 10 to top 20 range of points that also have openings right now. So definitely lots of announcements still on the Xfinity side.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, Nathan, thanks so much for the time. As always, we will talk to you soon.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it.